right, everyone. Today I am joined by a guy with probably the best nickname you can have if you're a baseball player. It's Dan, the Duke Dallas, left-handed pitcher with the San Diego Padres from the Buffalo area. How's it going, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and everything. We kind of talked a little bit before we started. It was kind of not really a great place to start just because we crossed paths a little bit later, but I don't want to miss some of the stuff. You're from Western New York area, played at Canisius High School, and you were a pretty early commit to Monmouth University out in Jersey. You want to kind of talk about where they seen you, how you felt committing early, how all that went?
Yeah, so I think the first initial sight of them seeing me was in a tournament, and then through connections with my high school coaches and travel ball coach and things like that, we got it set up to go to a camp down in Monmouth. So I went down there, pitch, and I hit and threw and played first base and stuff. And then I think I went back for a second visit at a camp, and then it's really sat down. We kind of talked about the future of maybe me playing at Monmouth, and the whole recruiting process pretty much started there. And so I would say a little bit after that, it was end my sophomore year. I think I committed to there, and so if it wasn't obviously for professional ball, that's where I would have played my career at.
Okay, what was it about there? I mean, obviously it's pretty early for a commitment. What was it about that you felt so good about, kind of going into or committing so early?
Yeah, some of my main things throughout the recruitment process. I mean, I wasn't really much of a pitcher at that time. I was mainly a first baseman. I threw a little bit my freshman, sophomore year in high school for Canisius, but so I wanted to go in a place where I could play and be a part of the team and compete right away for a spot, and kind of so I kind of looked at it as I want to go to a small Division I school, but I wanted to leave the Buffalo area. I wanted to get away, kind of experience life on my own. So when I got down there, Coach E. Hall and Coach Alveri, the recruiting coordinator, and I really liked those guys a lot. They were kind of like family oriented. I wanted to be with a close knit team, so I got on campus. Campus was awesome, beautiful campus, right next to the beach. It was like a little college town. They had football, they had basketball, so they had the sports life. So kind of just all clicked together when I got down there. So and as far as, like I said, the baseball wise, it was really a family, close knit team, and it was a place I could went in and competed for a spot to play first base and maybe pitch a little bit when I committed.
Okay, cool. So you're going into your senior year. You're committed to Monmouth. You hook up with a travel program in the, it's kind of the South Towns area of Buffalo, Full Circuit Power, coached by Charlie Karstadt. Good friend of my dad's. He was a associate scout with my dad for a while. I've become good friends with him. He's a great guy, does great things. You made a huge jump that fall, continuing into the spring, and I think you would, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, I think you would attribute a lot of that to working with Charlie. You want to kind of talk about starting out with him and what you guys were doing and allowed you to make that huge jump?
Yeah, for sure. I played against Charlie's teams growing up throughout my high school career in travel ball, and I always respected the way he performed on the field and kind of the program he ran. So I went over to play fall ball for him, and he said, "Hey, have you ever really thought about like getting serious with pitching?" Because I think he was talking with your dad a lot, and your dad saw me pitch during a fall ball game, and so Charlie kind of put in my head like, "Hey, if you're serious about this, let's kind of get on board and see what we can do with it." So I said, "Yeah, I'd love to get serious with it, and maybe I can go pitch in college, and if pros comes, that's great." But so we got going, and like one of our main goals was just putting on weight, getting stronger, and being an athlete. So we honed in. I went like almost 6 days a week, every week. If it was before school, after school, and we were working out on holidays. So the main thing is like he makes it enjoyable for the kids that go there. It's not like this hard-nosed strict thing, but he's not going to push you to hate baseball or anything like that, but he's going to be tough on you and take you to the next level of where he wants to see you at. So as far as like a player and coach commitment, as long as you're in and ready to go with his program, he's going to push you to the max and get the best ability out of you can. So he got me stronger throughout the process. And then honestly, that was like getting my body to form how I want it to be. And then we kind of like worked on the pitching after that. So with Charlie, like I think it's something a lot different around here in the Western New York program is of like the baseball community is like he brings a lot of the weightlifting side into it along with the baseball, which you don't see a lot in travel ball programs around here. So he honestly he put his life and time into my career, my program when I was with him, and honestly, for him and my high school coach and things like that, I wouldn't be where I was today without their guidance and his programming that he put me through.
Right. Cool. So this is kind of where our paths cross. I'm an assistant coach at Gulf Coast Junior College down in Panama City, Florida, and it's the fall. And my dad's, oh, Charlie got this kid Dan Dallas. Charlie got this kid. And then finally, he keeps talking. I'm like, I'm fucking sick of hearing about this kid named Dan Dallas. Like, what the hell, is he good or what? And I know he went and saw you pitch at Mercyhurst. I think you guys might have played Mercyhurst Northeast, and
Yeah,
it's really good.
The junior.
So he calls me, he's telling me about it and stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm like, we're having a tournament. We had a fall tournament that I put together to like a kind of like a fundraising thing, but we had some really good teams. We actually ended up signing a bunch of kids that came to that tournament and stuff. And you came down, you threw. There was pro scouts there. I remember I contacted a couple of the pro scouts I knew. I said, hey, there's this lefty coming down. I said, I've never seen him, but my dad told me, I trust my dad, obviously. Oh, he's upper 80s lefty. I remember your first pitch was like 91, second pitch was 92. I think you're a little juiced up on adrenaline, like really getting going. And the scouts were like, well, shit, you weren't lying. So, you came down there and you threw really good. And I've talked about this before a little bit with the recruiting stuff about people changing their minds. We weren't trying to like steal you or anything like that. But I think if the thing I always think, like, things change, like opportunities change. All we were doing was presenting you with an opportunity. Hey, like if we would have known about you, before you committed and you were really good, we would have offered you. We're just finding out about you now. So we're just kind of throwing our hat in the ring if that's something you want to do. So that's all we were doing. And I think you kind of thought a decent amount about it because of the opportunity of being in Florida and pitching in front of pro scouts all the time and keeping your options. Was that something that you kind of considered?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. Throughout the whole time after that, it was always in the talks with me, my family, my father, and throughout the whole time. I mean, I was born and raised on my word is my handshake and being a man like that. So it would definitely been hard to step away from Monmouth of that aspect. I already gave my word and things like that. But I truly believe within life and with baseball opportunities, stuff like that, you got to do what's best for your career, because down the road, you don't want to look back and say, hey, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. So, to be completely blunt, honest, it was on the table the whole time. I mean, obviously, right before the draft, I was still committed to Monmouth, and that was my plan at that point. But I'm not going to ever say, hey, I never thought about going to junior college or going to your school or looking at that career path. But I think junior college is awesome for guys that were in my situation. Honestly, if I didn't commit so early, because I honestly committed as a first baseman out of my high school career. So if I didn't commit so early, I probably right away would have thought about the JUCO process or the JUCO path. And just because of that, the availability, being able to get drafted out of your first or second year instead of going 3 to 4 years to a 4-year school. So, yeah, to be completely honest, it was in the thoughts the whole time, and it was something that me and my family sat down and seriously talked about.
Right. I think that's what's hard too with kids. Like, you're a young kid, you're emotional, you're like, but I told this guy I was going to commit there. But like for someone like you, where the draft is in play, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in draft, like it becomes a business decision. And not 17, 18-year-old kids aren't always ready for that. It's tough. It becomes real tough. It kind of was made easier for you from where you were selected. You make the jump. You told me before we kind of got on, you were 81, 84, probably going into working with Charlie into that fall of your senior year. You come down, you threw for us. I think you were mostly like 86, 88, 89. And then that first couple pitches, like you were juiced up. And then in the spring, I remember my dad, he went and watched you a bunch, and you kept kind of building. Maybe not when you're pitching at like Delaware Park Field 3 and the hole's so big you actually end up throwing uphill. But exactly. I know late in the year for your guys' I think Monsignor Martin thing, you threw at Coca-Cola Field and you were like 93, 94 on that good pro mound. So you gained a lot of draft stock. You go in the 7th round of the Padres. So that made that decision pretty easy, right? Kind of going that high in the draft.
Yeah, it was kind of something we talked about as my family. It was like, hey, like, where do we want to see ourselves within the draft rounds of the decision to go to professional baseball or go to junior college or go to Monmouth. So we kind of said, hey, within the top 9 rounds, I think if the money presents it right, I think we're going to take it and run with that opportunity. So I would say, yeah, that was the main factor of my decision.
Now, you kind of touched on it a little earlier, and you brought it up again. Was the round almost as important to you as the money? Just because, if I mean, people can say, "Oh, well, if they pay you this much, they think of you as this round, a certain prospect." But hey, if you think of me as a seventh round prospect, draft me in the seventh round. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
was that kind of because the higher you get drafted, the more chances you get. So, does that kind of play into it too?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're going to be bluntly honest about it, the earlier you get picked, the more you're valued and the more you look at it as far as early on in your career. And
Right.
so I wouldn't say there was an exact money amount or exact round that I had to go by, but I wanted an opportunity where I was valued in an organization. So obviously within the top 10 rounds, they look at guys as guys that take priority in right away. So that kind of helped my factor. But let's say I get picked in 13th or 14th round, and I look at the opportunity of saying, "Hey, this is an awesome opportunity. The organization's valuing me as X amount of dollars or what they see me in their future." So like I said, I wasn't set home exactly on a dollar amount or round, but I just wanted to be valued as a player in an organization.
Right. Okay, so you go to pro ball out in Arizona in rookie league. I'm not going to ask you like if it was different than high school ball in Buffalo. Obviously, it's way different. What were like kind of talk about to me the mindset in minor league ball is it's development. Like yeah, we're like if the game's tied in the ninth inning, we're trying to win. But I mean that's it's hard. It's hard for some kids to switch to like I got to focus on myself and develop. Was that something you kind of had to learn to do?
Yeah, it's you go from travel ball and high school ball, which is hey, the team's here to win a game. That's our main goal. Whereas in pro ball, you're still no matter what sport you play, you're always gonna be there winning the game. But
Right.
you're exactly right. They're focused on hey, we want to make Dan Dallas the best player he can be by this amount of time. We want to make Bob Smith or this player, any other player, the best player they want to be at a certain amount of time within winning baseball. So step one is getting better and developing, and then winning comes next. So it was definitely a big adjustment for me that I wasn't never used to. It's like when you lose a game, it was like we have till tomorrow to win another one. Where in high school you lose a game and it felt like the end of the world. So
Yeah.
as far as that mental aspect, it was tough to adjust, but I think everyone kind of had the same mindset going in of hey, this is a lot different no matter if you're a college, JUCO, high school guy or a Latin American sign. So it was definitely different, but you get used to it pretty quick.
Right. And you kind of get off to I won't say a slow start because you had success, but like the way they kind of handled you, I'd kind of get used to the pro style and the workouts and stuff. So you didn't pitch much your first 2 years, and everyone hates being stuck on the complex and and extended. You want to kind of talk about that? Was there some frustration with that, or did you kind of just say, okay, I'm just this, they're doing this because they think it's the best thing for me and they value me as a prospect?
Yeah, my first year, my draft year, so my first half season, it was a very slow process. We had 3 high school draft pitchers, and we all together we it was like we worked out, we ate, we conditioned. We didn't even throw a baseball for like the first month, and then we slowly got into a throwing program, started working on mechanics, and I think I only threw in about 3 or 4 games. And then my second year come around, went to spring training, had an okay start there. I didn't pitch the greatest, went to extended, which I kind of expected, still being a young guy in the organization.
Yeah.
I struggled a little bit there, and then had an injury, and then I still got stuck in extended, and then played a whole nother year of rookie ball. So I would say that was my most frustrating year, just because it was between the injuries, my struggles on the mound, and just kind of still being stuck in complex baseball. And then my next year, I went to extended again, and then that was the year where like you had to mentally. Sometimes you had a mental breakdown. You had to really lock it in to home back in on the long term goal. So um, I would say, yeah, the first 2.5 years weren't easy, but you got it's almost like you got to just kind of look at the long term goal, and that's the hardest part of getting through it. But once you figure out how to not look into the process of, hey, why am I not moving up, or why am I not doing this, or what's the organization thinking? Once you get into that mindset, it makes the game in professional baseball a lot easier. Once you just worry day by day and how you're progressing throughout your career, that's when the minor league baseball gets easier.
Right. I think one of the hardest things too with like extended is, and I don't think people realize this, like you don't have anything to distract you. Like you go in, you get your workout, you do a little, especially a pitcher, you do some throwing, then you're just at the hotel or your apartment for the rest of the day. You're just thinking about like, man, I'm here, I'm stuck here. You know, you ain't got class to distract you. You don't got, the stuff going on or anything like that. It's hard. So that mental thing really eats a lot of people. But going into year 3 in pro ball, you are in, I guess you kind of say like advanced, short season, advanced rookie ball. In Tri-City, you have a really good year, make the All-Star team. That had to feel really good mentally, like just like, okay, like this is working. I'm on the right track now.
Yeah, for sure. That was my year where it's kind of like, hey, if I'm struggling, I revert back to that year, because that was a year where not to toot my own horn, but I felt like a bulldog on the mound. Like nobody was going to stop me. I was gonna go out there and compete. So I always have a pitching coach named Gorm who always says, hey, when you're struggling, go back, watch film and watch video on that year, and just to get your mental side, like, hey, that's the true Dan Dallas on the mound. That's the guy I want to be. So that was the year. That was my stamp mark year that I always look back on if I'm in need of a little pick me up.
Right. Okay. So obviously you have a really good year. Did you do anything like instructs or fall league, or they kind of limit your throwing for that?
My first, I think I went to 2, maybe 3 instructs. I know I went for 2 for sure. So I did 2 instructs my first 2 years, and then I did some strength camps in the offseason, but I never went to Arizona Fall League.
Okay. And then last year you come out, you make the full season team, Midwest League, kind of bounce back to Tri-City, and then you have a random call up to AAA. The big squad had a couple of injuries. They had a bunch of guys from AAA go up, and then you said 3 of you got pulled up. What was that experience like, going from, you're in Tri-City and all of a sudden you're freaking one step away from the big leagues?
Yeah, for sure. So I was doing well in Tri-Cities, and then when you get called in the coach's office, for most of the times it's either because you're going up or going down. So when we got called in, it was me and another guy, and I was like, oh, finally we're getting out of a short season again. We're going to go to low A. And then he said, hey guys, you're going to AAA tomorrow. And the kid kind of looked at each other like, what, are you serious? So yeah, we packed our bags, we went, and we got there, and they said we landed at like noon, and we had a 7 o'clock game. We got there, he said, hey, both of you be ready to pitch today. We're short on arms. So we got ready, and luckily that day, the starter, I think he went like 8.1 or something like that. So we didn't pitch that day. The next day, they said, hey, Dallas, you're throwing today. So, okay. So it's a whole different game up there. I mean, as far as scouting reports, as far as coaches talking before the game of like, hey, this is our game plan, and this guy's our game plan. Let's avoid these pitches, this guy. So you don't get that much in short season or low A because there's just not as much scouting report to have. Right. So. But as far as I went up there, I didn't throw well at all. It was I had a bad game, and it was probably one of the best learning experiences though in my pro career so far. I mean, it showed me where I had to. I'm not at the ability I need to be at yet to pitch at that level, and kind of where I need to strive to and get to in my career to be able to compete at that level. So, although it wasn't on the stat sheet one of my best outings or what I hoped for mentally and how I can prepare for my career, it was an awesome experience. So as far as like experience and exposure, it was top of the best. I mean, and then obviously the way they treat you in AAA, it's pretty much a big leagues just with not as many fans. So,
right.
Like I said, experience and exposure is top to none. You can't beat it.
Now, do you think? Now I know the information's way better at AAA, like as far as scouting reports and stuff. But do you think that kind of also is preparing? They're trying to prepare you for how much before game planning and stuff like that you need to do, because in the big leagues they have all the information, obviously scouting reports, you go over with the catcher before you start, all that kind of info. I think it's kind of like almost like a practice, like, hey, we're getting reps in and doing this, so when you get to the big leagues you already know how we want this done.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's spot on how you put that. But I think as far as the minor leagues in general, everything you do, it's kind of like, hey, we want to put you through this experience. No matter if you have success or failure, we don't care. But when you get to the big leagues, we want it to be secondhand for you. So no matter if it's your meal plans, your weight room, your scouting reports, how you interact with the team, or how you dress to go on the plane, it's like they want you to be no matter what you do throughout your minor league career, when you get to the big leagues, they don't want you to have to worry about anything but putting the ball over the plate and competing on the mound. So as far as like scouting reports, I think that's spot on of how you put that. Of we want to compete you at the AAA or prepare you at the AAA level, so when you get to the big leagues, it's second hand.
Right. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about like off-season stuff. You still train with Charlie, during the off-season and everything. How much of that, like, I don't want to get you in trouble, but how much of that is like Charlie helped you, kind of get into pro ball? You got the program that the Padres give you, they want you doing, but then ultimately, like, it's your career. You have to kind of take ownership of that. Is it kind of a mix of the three things, or are you following like the Padres to a T? Like, what's that off-season work kind of like?
Yeah, so right before I come home, we sit down with our strength coaches, and they kind of we set out goals that we want to meet by the time we come back for spring training the next year. So they put a program together for you on this app called Team Builder, and then I come home and I sit down with Charlie, and we go over almost the same exact thing, and he puts a workout together for me on Team Builder. So honestly, between the both of them, the workouts are pretty much similar.
Okay.
I kind of try to Charlie throws in a couple things that are great for me. The Padres throw in a couple more things that are great for me. I try to blend them as much as I can. So like one of my goals this offseason was I want to become a better athlete like I was in high school. I want to be more athletic, move better, on my body to feel explosive. So between what the Padres gave me and what Charlie gave me, it was pretty spot on of what exactly what I wanted. I pretty much pick and grab from each and figure out what was best for my daily routine.
Okay. What about throwing? Is that like a January 1st around there thing, or is it kind of a how your body's feeling, how your arm's feeling?
Yeah, we're not on our own, but they give the Padres give us a plan, and they say, hey, this is what we kind of expect out of you. Take it how you want it, and just be ready to go spring training. So I kind of ramp up a little. I slowly ramp up a little bit before January. Once January 1st hits, that's like go time. That's be ready to start throwing bullpens here soon, because in February, before you know it, you're gone. So I slowly ramp up till about January, and then once that hits, I'm getting ready to go.
Right. I always kind of curious, especially with like pro guys, like how many, like you throw 3 pitches, fastball,
Yes.
breaking ball, changeup.
Yep.
So how much of that, like, do you ever, okay, these are my 3 pitches, I want to freaking really focus on these, or is it almost sometimes like, should I maybe implement, a cutter or something else? Do you ever tinker with that, or is it just more focused on this is what I have, I'm going to try to perfect what's got me here and what I've been successful with?
Yeah, for sure. So when I got into pro ball, I wanted to add every pitch in the book, just especially being a starter. I mean, that was my mindset. Like, hey, let's get every pitch in the book going here. But you kind of said spot on. The Padres, if you're a 3-pitch pitcher, they want you to perfect 3 pitches. When you get to the big leagues, you got to have 3 pitches. That's like their go-to motto. So it was honestly, when I was struggling, I lost my breaking ball, and it was kind of one of the best things for me because I developed a better changeup. I never really threw a changeup in high school too much, and
Don't
I
need
was
to.
always
It's
I was always
actually
fastball breaking.
negative because it's to their bat speed when you start throwing changes.
Yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
was fastball breaking ball, and then when I struggled in pro ball, I developed a changeup, and honestly, that's almost my number 2 pitch now. Where, like I said, in high school, I was a huge breaking ball guy, so it worked. Obviously, no one ever wants to struggle, but it kind of worked to my advantage a little bit to develop 3 pitches and perfect them.
Right. Um, what about like throwing and recovery? Are you like a long toss guy, a weighted balls mixture? You don't have to give like real detail, but kind of like a overview of that.
Yeah, I never really got into weighted balls. I've just never, and I'm not against them at all by any means. I think that it works great for some guys. I just have never really experienced with them. But I'm a huge long toss guy in high school. I was a huge long toss guy. I kind of changed a little bit now that I'm in a relieving role. But so I try to long toss every 2 to 3 days, being a reliever. But yeah, I'm more so a long toss guy.
What was that transition like from being a starter to going to the pen?
I thought I would hate it, but I honestly love it. It's you never want to say. I mean, most pitchers look at it as like a downgrade, where, and obviously I did at first too. But the thing I love about it is, no matter if you have a good outing or bad outing, you're taking the ball and you're going again in 2 days.
Right.
So if you have a real crappy outing, you get to redeem yourself in 2 days. You don't have to sit there for 5-6 days like a starter does. But if you have a good outing, you just kind of try to ride it out for every 2 or 3 days to keep the streak going. So that's what I like about being a competitor is I get the ball again in 2 days.
Did you adjust any of your training to kind of prepare your body for that, to be ready to go more frequently and kind of in shorter stints?
Yeah, I would say lifting wise, I try to get all my lifting right after I was done throwing, and then but throwing wise, I would say would be the biggest change. I kind of you got to figure out, you got to go off the days you pitch instead of your 5-day routine as a starter. So
Right.
if I threw one day, the next day I'm not blowing it out. I'm taking it easy because I'm probably throwing the day after that. So you just kind of have to juggle and figure out what works best for your throwing program. And obviously every week or every outing, you're not going to be perfectly set up out of the bullpen to how your arm feels. So something you just got to figure out.
Yeah. Okay, so we're this year. You're at spring training when the news starts coming out about the coronavirus and everything. Kind of talk about how you got that news and what that was like being completely shut down.
Yeah, I mean, we were at spring training complex. News kind of, I think the NBA was like any NBA or NHL was like the first one to shut down, and we kind of thought like, oh, we're not in season yet, so we should stick around. So, but they called us back to the complex. We had a meeting. They said, hey, pack your bags. We're going home. It was just like that. Honestly, we just got done with practice, and then we got rained out. We were supposed to throw live EPs and stuff, but it was just like that. We went and got our flights, and I flew out at 4 a.m. and I haven't been back since. So it happened quick, and it took you a couple days to hit. Of like, wow, this is kind of real. We're home. Who knows if we're going to play this year? And honestly, it's the same mindset right now. We haven't heard much, and kind of just staying day by day and sticking with your daily routine.
Right, and I was talking. I did an interview a couple days ago with a kid that's in Double-A with the Tigers. He's a position player, so it's a little different. But kind of how tough is it? Like gyms are shut down. You talked about got to try to sneak onto fields to be able to throw, but also as a pitcher, like you don't know when to ramp up. Like you don't want to be ramping up and wasting bullets and risking injury if you don't need to be ready. But at the same time, you also don't want to be like, all right, we're playing, and you're not physically ready, to handle the load of a season. Was that kind of tricky right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're hitting it out spot on again. It's you have no idea if you're going to play this year or if you're going to play in a week. So it's hard from the pitching aspect. So the Padres plan right now is, hey, stick with your daily throwing, just kind of save your bullets, but try to get 2 light touch and feels or bullpens in a week. So they don't want you blowing out for any aspect, but like you said, if we get a call today saying, hey, be ready to go in a week or 2, we're ready to go.
Okay, cool. What are some of the things you can talk about? And I already know it, we talked about it before, but some of the things you're doing, like besides the throwing, as much as you can to stay ready.
Yeah, I mean, weightlifting's a big one. I made it a huge goal when I came home to like improve on my eating habits and kind of get back, slim down a little bit. So that was my one main thing, and then but just trying to whatever I do throughout the year, try to implement the most I can while being home. So I'm working right now and with a painting company to make a little side money while we're not getting paid. So juggling baseball and life and the whole coronavirus is tough at times, but like I said before, you got to be thankful for the opportunity you have and just kind of embrace the grind.
Yeah, I was talking to Cole. We were laughing. Like people think, oh, he's a professional baseball player. He makes millions of dollars. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, for one, I don't make that much money per month as it is, and 2, I haven't got a check since about August 15th or something. It's that money starts drying up quick, and that's kind of be a grind too mentally. You're struggling through, and you're sharing an apartment with 6 other guys when it's a 2-bedroom apartment, and so minor league baseball stuff. I think I'd say probably, I don't know, maybe this is, you can kind of touch on it, like just as many guys get weeded out from the mental side of it as they do the physical side.
Yeah, for sure. People always say minor league baseball, so like they know the game. They say it's such a grind, but I mean, it's the best grind you could ask for. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. But you're right. It's the mental side of the game, they say, is huge in professional baseball because the ones that can't figure out how to tune it on and tune it off, they do get whittled out. So I would say I don't know, 50 to 70% of people that can't mentally lock it in throughout the whole season are the ones that end up getting released or getting cut or sometimes hurt because they weren't locked in on their responsibilities and duties. So I would say yes, the mental side of the game is way more than you think it is until you get into it.
Okay. I won't do the kind of these rapid fire questions, and I won't say like who's your favorite like major league player and stuff. Like obviously those like your peers now and stuff, and you're trying to compete against. But maybe someone you looked up to growing up that you try to like maybe model your game after.
Yeah. Position player wise was my cousin. He played in the big leagues with the Diamondbacks, and now he's with the Cardinals. So I always watch him growing up, and
You
he
can
always worked.
go ahead.
It's Paul Goldschmidt. So.
Yeah.
I always watch him growing up and just his work ethic and how he went about what he did with the game and stuff like that. So he was drafted in the 8th round out of college and as a senior sign, so he was in the same position I was, and he worked his tail off to get where he is today. And then I always like watching Dallas Keuchel grow up because, especially now in my big league career, he's not an overpowering guy. He uses his stuff. He's a lefty, crafty lefty. So. He was a guy I watched as like kind of my comp of how I wanted to model my game after.
Right. My freshman year, we played at Arkansas when Keuchel was a junior, and it was like the same thing. Like he didn't throw that hard, but he just like there was no good pitches to hit at all.
Yeah,
like it just like he gave you nothing at all. So that's definitely a good guy to follow. Number you wear and why? Like if you get your choice, you probably don't always get your choice in pro ball, but.
Yeah, pro ball you don't get a choice, but I always wore, growing up, I wore number 56. My grandpa passed away at 56 years old, so I always wore that number in memory of him. And anytime I get that opportunity, I wear it. So that was always the number.
Okay, cool. What's your warm-up music, like your walkout or I don't know, warm-up song, I guess, for pitching?
Past 2 years, it's been Fat Bottom Girls, the country song. So it was just a song. I was listening on the bus one day, and I said I like it just because it's the beat of it and stuff, and it kind of got me fired up. But the name's kind of funny, but it's something you pick your warm-up song on something that'll fire you up.
Right. Okay. Now this didn't really apply to you, but if you were going to college, did you have a major picked out that you wanted to study?
I didn't. I wanted to do something with law enforcement, of investigation or something like that. I didn't really know. I was going to go in as general studies. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I kind of want to get those classes out of the way.
Gotcha. Favorite band or singer, rapper, what kind of favorite musician or whatever?
Yeah, I'm a huge country guy. I love Eric Church. I love Luke Combs, Zach Brown Band. So a lot of those guys I listen to a lot.
All right, cool. Favorite movie of all time?
Geez, that would have to be. I love The Blind Side, the football movie.
All right.
Yeah, I like that. Just the story behind it, I love.
All right, cool. The last one. Now this is going. I know you guys get some crazy shit down in the bullpen. Best bullpen treat, like gum, seeds, coffee, dip. What do you got down there?
We had, when I was in short season, we had someone that would bring us Dippin' Dots down all the time. We were gonna ask, you'd show up with them, and so that was a good one. Honestly,
Dippin' Dots has been the ice cream of the future for 25 years now. That's always been their slogan, ice cream of the future. But it's been 25 years.
Yeah, we went. I think it was South Bend and the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. I think it was those two, and people would always offer us hot dogs and meals like hamburgers, and we were always like, those are kind of tough to hide. So we never really took them up on that. But you get crazy stuff all the time when you go on the road. For the most part, people just honestly, minor league baseball, the fans are just very welcoming and always try to take care of everyone. So, but the stories are funny as the stuff you get offered down there for autographs or baseballs or anything like that.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I've always followed your career ever since. I thought we might have a small shot to get you at Gulf Coast, but always followed your career and checked out you're doing. Looking forward to keep doing it in the future. So, wish you the best of luck and everything. And like I said, I really appreciate your time coming on here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate having me. I wish you the best in everything.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Good talking to you.
All right. Thanks. Have a good night, man.
All right. We'll see you.